A number of older individuals are being interviewed about their experiences growing up in a region plagued by agricultural blight and persistent dust, which is reminiscent of the 1930s Great Depression. An old woman who is the first to be seen claims that while her father was a farmer, it was not always that way. The setting shifts. Joe Cooper, a farmer and widower, is first presented to us, Matthew McConaughey. He is a former NASA test pilot and engineer with a college degree who was forced to leave his job to become a farmer. He currently resides in a dilapidated farmhouse that is probably owned by his father-in-law. Wheat is no longer accessible, and okra has only recently gone extinct owing to blight, so they plant maize instead. Animal life is not seen. Eastern Colorado is in the year 2060. Famine has wiped out more than half of the world's population, and for the past 30 years, America has been reduced to a struggling agrarian nation. Since around 40 years ago, technology has been at a stop. For example, cars are no longer manufactured, and laptop computers are now considered luxury goods. However, on a positive side, there are no longer any conflicts or military in existence. Children are evaluated at a particular age to identify what jobs they will need to pursue to help civilization survive. It is taught in schools that the US's lunar landing in 1969 was a hoax intended to impoverish the Soviet Union and end the Cold War. His 65-year-old in-law Donald, John Lithgow, his 15-year-old son Tom, Timothy Chalamet, and his 10-year-old daughter Mackenzie Foy, make up Cooper's family. Donald, who was born either around the end of the 20th or the beginning of the 21st century, remembers those exciting times when new technologies were continuously being developed. He takes care of the domestic chores and gets along well with Cooper. He is a straightforward man. In the late afternoon, the two of them converse while sipping beer on the porch about the state of the world and ideal conditions. Since a college degree is today something only a very tiny percentage of young people have, Joe's son Tom, a youngster of average intellect, has already been disqualified from being a farmer by the school administration. The Cooper family has a very basic existence and occasionally enjoys the delight of watching a game at a nearby baseball field that is identical to the one used by the small league today. The lack of hot dogs and the players' amateurism make his father-in-law disappointed, in addition to the popcorn provided as a snack. The game is abruptly over when a dust cloud approaches, reminding them of the sad reality of their situation. During the dust storm, the Cooper family returns to the farmhouse, and because Muff's bedroom window was open, the dust on the floor fell in beautiful lines. Cooper studies the lines all night and concludes that they are simple. Cooper studies the lines all night long, believing them to be binary code and the coordinates of a location he feels compelled to locate using a map. The following day, he spends the day traveling to the Rockies, and his daughter joins him by sneaking inside the truck. Cooper is captured and tasered into unconsciousness not long after reaching his intended location, a gated, fenced-off area. When Cooper awakens, he finds himself being questioned by Tars, a strange-looking robot. As it turns out, Cooper is in a bunker, the world's best-kept secret, where he runs across his former NASA boss, Dr. John Brand, an Englishman played by Michael Caine, and his stunning young daughter, Amelia Brand, played by Anne Hathaway. Nobody is persuaded that Cooper arrived at the location accidentally, and Dr. Brand thinks Cooper was guided there by some power. The complex Cooper discovered is actually a remnant of NASA, living there covertly and no longer receiving funding from the government due to a lack of resources. There is an upcoming space mission that will travel through an unidentified wormhole near Saturn to reach 3 planets that may be habitable, 2 of which orbit the supermassive black hole known as Gargantua, a large black sphere with a solar mass of roughly 50 million Earth suns and a diameter similar to that of the Sun. 12 astronauts were dispatched through the wormhole 10 years ago in 12 different spacecraft, but only 3, Miller, Mann, and Edmonds, who are all on 3 planets, activated the thumbs-up beacon. NASA now lacks a pilot for the spaceship, and at the last minute, they want Cooper to fly, despite his obligations to his family. Actually, the bunker is a centrifuge that will eventually change into something different. It has 2 strategies. Plan A is to use the centrifuge as a space station in orbit to save many people. To do this, Dr. Brand must find the solution to the equation that will allow the scientists to defy gravity and launch the centrifuge into orbit. As a backup plan, the species will be repopulated by colonizing the planet that is the most hospitable of the 3. Cooper is told by Dr. Brand that mankind won't have much longer on Earth and that he needs to pilot the vessel. and explore in order to save his family and the rest of the planet from impending doom. The Cooper is quiet because he has just barely left Earth's atmosphere. Cooper is understandably hesitant, but Brand tells him that the 12 astronauts on the expedition have never even left the simulators before. They discover themselves at an area of space some 10 billion light-years away from Earth. As a result of its close proximity to Gargantua, which causes significant gravitational time dilation with each hour spent on the surface costing 7 Earth years, they decide to travel first to Miller's planet with the intention of stopping there very briefly. While Rummelly stays on the Endurance to research the black hole and collect quantum data from it, Cooper, Amelia, Doyle, and the robot Case decide to take a chance and plan to explore the area in a matter of minutes. Muff finds Dr. Brand is passing away when returning at the NASA bunker a day or two later. She hears him admit that he lied to her and that Plan A is impossible. In order to get people from Earth, he was never able to solve the gravity equation. She is convinced that her father was fully aware of Brand's plan, that he fled, and that he left everyone else including her to perish. Died is Dr. Brand. Informing Amelia of her father's passing via video message, Muff urges him to be honest and admit that the whole thing had been a ruse. A few months later, the Endurance crew reaches Man's planet, which has a deadly atmosphere of methane loaded with ice clouds, is permanently frigid, covered in glacier, and has glacier all over it. Following a mental collapse and being saved, Dr. Mann, Matt Damon, who has been in cryosleep for more than 35 years, is woken by Cooper. He describes the icy, but lovely, world he inhabits, pointing out that it has 80% of Earth's gravity and that a lower portion of it is habitable, possibly even a source of fresh water. Brand views the video Muff provided about the demise of her father and the fraud that is Plan A. She is stunned beyond belief and had no idea, but Mann tells her that the equation was really solved a long time ago and found to be implausible before he even left on the expedition. Data could only be obtained by entering a black hole, which is not conceivable without dying. Back on Earth, Muff and Dr. Getty, Topher Grace, a fellow NASA physicist, are traveling in her Jeep through the desolate plains while observing the endless clouds of black smoke and families traveling in worn-out 80 to 90-year-old cars with their possessions in tow, much like Midwesterner farmers who fled to the West in the 1930s in search of a better life. She is aware that Dr. Brand only provided a portion of the equation and that it can be solved if it originates from a black hole. She had a sneaking suspicion that the Morse code, together with the books being moved off the shelves and the traces of dust on her bedroom floor from a long time ago, give her a hint. She gets a gut instinct that this ghost is an entity who has made an effort to console her and defend mankind. She is aware that time is running out for mankind and that it is not the end. Man is simultaneously introducing Cooper to this cold and hostile environment. Tom's youngster is being examined for his lungs by Dr. Getty and Muff at the Cooper homestead. Dr. Mann removes Cooper's voice beacon and throws him down the cliff. Muff's brother Tom is furious and hits Dr. Getty in the face as he says that they can't remain and would perish. Cooper learns from Mann that the planet cannot support life and that he transmitted the signal to use Cooper's spacecraft to return to Earth. Tom is told by Muff that he is her father. When Muff informs Tom that her father never intended to save them but to flee and leave everything to her, he flatly refuses and urges her to go, reasoning that it is his responsibility to take care of the farm in order to keep his word to his father. By shattering Cooper's helmet visor and suffocating him with the ammonia-rich air, Mann hopes to murder the soldier. Mann removed Cooper's voice beacon from his helmet, but Cooper is able to get to it and use it to yell for Brand to come to his aid. Muff and Dr. Getty are driving back to NASA, but in a fit of rage, she pulls over and pours gasoline over corn crops and sets them on fire, in order to distract Tom and get back to. Brand has come to Cooper's aid. Mann's residence on the planet blew up, killing Rummelly. Rummelly was murdered while attempting to recover information from Mann's booby-trapped robot Kip, which was meant to expose the planet's true nature. Cooper and Brand rescue Tars after he emerges from the wreckage, and they depart the planet. Tom's family has now left the house on Earth, and Muff is now contemplating the past in her old bedroom. Cooper and Brand are attempting to leave the planet in a different shuttle, but Mann is also doing so and is not deterred by their requests to avoid attempting to dock with the Endurance. She is in Muff's bedroom. Muff is in her bedroom looking through her old possessions to see what the ghost could be trying to tell her. Despite Cooper and Brand's and Dr. Mann's repeated requests not to dock with the Endurance, Dr. Mann persists in his refusal to do so. The docking pincers can be seen trying to grasp but failing to lock in after the spacecraft has been manually maneuvered into place. He ignores the computer's warnings of an imperfect lock, though, and the ship docks nevertheless. He is carried forward in mid-sentence by the coupling release and the forceful outflow of air into space, and the ensuing collision results in an explosion. The Endurance is now out of control and Cooper tells Brand that he is going to dock with it, even though it is now in a rapid rotation. Cooper is able to dock despite the significant centrifugal G-forces caused by the spin. Due to the destruction of the life support, they are unable to return to Earth and must instead travel to Edmund's planet in order to have even a remote chance of surviving. To get to Edmund's planet, they must slingshot around the Gargantua black hole while using manual controls. Cooper and Tars sacrifice themselves during the terrifying orbit around Gargantua by detaching from their separate shuttles and falling into the black hole. This allows Amelia and Case to go more quickly by lowering the bulk of the ship. Cooper separates from Brand in his Ranger, without her prior knowledge, and Brand is on a path that will take her to Edmunds. He is aware that it will take 51 Earth years to orbit the black hole owing to gravitational time dilation, but he decides to accept the risk. Cooper has Brand indignant, and Brand is now left alone with Case. Cooper's ship is being torn apart by gravitational forces as it dives into the black hole. Pellets that like sleet are striking Cooper's Ranger spaceship as he makes his descent towards the black hole's center. Without hesitation, he ejects himself when his ship's computer orders him to. Cooper enters a black hole and falls towards a grid of cubbyholes believing he is dead, only to discover that he is in some sort of afterlife and is oblivious to his surroundings, which resemble a tesseract. When he knocks one of several objects that resemble books off their shelves, it shows 10-year-old Muff responding to something falling from her bookshelf at the farmhouse. He toppled the movie's opening scene's replica of a lunar lander. While he is calling out for Muff, she takes the object and ignores him. Then he notices Muff begging with her father to stay in another area of the grid. As he watches, Cooper knocks the books off the shelf while pleading with himself in Morse code to stay put instead of leaving. Realizing that he should have listened and abstained from the assignment, Cooper sobs. Muff the adult is then in the bedroom while she realizes that her father himself was the ghost speaking with her all along when grown-up Muff appears in the bedroom while the fire is still blazing, making her feel at ease and reassured. She now understands everything, isn't mad at him anymore, and has hope. Her memory of the dust storm locations and the books tumbling off hasn't stopped her from attempting to figure out what her father is trying to tell her. Cooper is roused from his state of sadness by Tars, who explains that certain entities from the fifth dimension brought him there in order to speak with Muff, and that his love for his daughter drove him there in order to support her. Cooper is happy to find that Tars is present with him. Cooper understands that the mission was successful and that he will complete his tasks. Cooper was picked to assist with the engineering, while Muff was chosen to save mankind. He sends the farmhouse's coordinates to NASA, then the gravity equation, which is data from the black hole, is sent to a wristwatch he handed Muff before he departed using Tars through Morse code. Muff, a preteen, put the watch back on the rack so Cooper could apply the black hole equation to it. In a collection of her old belongings, adult Muff takes up an old timepiece and notices the second-hand .dr. Getty begs Muff and the others to go because the fire has been put out. Tom, who had been upset, had returned when Muff had left the farmhouse with the watch in her hand. She told him about the watch, hugged him, and assured him that her father had been a ghost all along and would save them. Tom accepts her hug despite being perplexed by everything. Using the information from the wristwatch, Muff completes the equation when he gets back to the NASA bunker. After writing everything down, she hurls the papers off the deck of the centrifuge that is being built in order to answer the problem. In her joy, she gives Dr. Getty a kiss. Therefore, what is about to happen might rescue the majority of humanity. Cooper feels confident that everything went as planned, and informs Tars that everything is okay as the Tesseract closes up back in the black hole. Cooper finds solace in the fact that future humans built the Tesseract to enable all of this to occur. He encounters the Endurance as it exits the wormhole, touches Brand's hand, and is subsequently pushed out into Saturn's orbit while a few beaming lights approach him. When Cooper awakens, he is in a hospital bed. An extremely clean room with the sound of birds singing and a baseball bat shattering a ball as background noise. He is advised to take it easy by a doctor who makes fun of the fact that he is now 124 years old yet still having a mid to late 30s appearance. Cooper is extremely fortunate to be alive, the doctor informs him, since space rangers discovered him with just minutes to live. Cooper looks out the window of his room and sees children applauding as a window is smashed. The children are playing baseball and a batter is hitting a ball into the sky, which turns out to be the skylight of an upside-down home. Cooper is informed that he is on Cooper Station, which is circling Saturn. Cooper believes the station bears his name, but it was really named after his daughter Muff. Despite her age and condition, she is still alive and will see him in a few weeks on another space station. Cooper is happy that Plan A did in fact succeed and that the station, an O'Neill cylinder with an old-world rural American landscape and artificial sunshine streaming from one side, was the exact spot the rocket took off from 89 years ago.